That is a dope GTO. Alright, I want to take a second here to talk about global warming and to be serious about it. Try to be serious about it. So let me start off by saying that global warming is happening. There's not a lot of debate about that among people who know what they're talking about. Among scientists, there's like a very large consensus. Everybody who's studied it, there's a very large consensus. Our planet is heating up. Planet Earth, the climate, which is the average global temperature, is warmer, is being measured as being warmer, slowly warming since the mid 1800s, mid to late 1800s. I can't remember the year, but this year, 2015, NASA has measured the climate, the global climate, and found that it's 2 degrees warmer this year than it was last year. And before that, the climate had only rose about 2 degrees Celsius. This is Celsius I'm talking when I say degrees. They had found that the planet warmed since the mid to late 1800s to like 2005 or something like that. They had risen to 2 degrees Celsius. But now, since last year, we've risen that same amount in 1 year, which is pretty scary. It's alarming, and it's all because of greenhouse gas. Now, we need greenhouse gas to survive. Our species, without greenhouse gas, in other words, planet Earth would freeze. Greenhouse gas is what gives us the climate that we experience as warm and desirable and habitable. The two main ones to know are CO2, carbon dioxide, and methane. Those are the two biggest contributors to the climate warming. So when you have too little greenhouse gas, if you have no greenhouse gas, the planet would freeze. If you add more and more greenhouse gas, the more greenhouse gas you add, the warmer the planet becomes. That's just a fact. What's also a fact is that humans, Homo sapiens, our species, is pumping greenhouse gas into the atmosphere at an extreme rate, with cars, with manufacturing. If this trend continues over the next, say, 100 years, 50 to 100 years, it could potentially pose an existential threat to our species. In other words, we could cause an extinction event to happen on our planet that would kill us. We don't know the reason. So you might ask, well, what happens? What happens if, the global temperature raises 10 degrees? We don't really know, and that's why we need to be careful. You can speculate, the ice will melt, sea level will rise. That's a pretty fair speculation. But outside of that, we're talking about the whole planet. We don't know what will happen. That's the danger. That's the greatest danger. The not so incredible danger is just making our planet extremely uncomfortable to live off of. We could kill off lots of other species besides ours that don't have technology, and reduce the amount of, say, food we're able to collect. And with an increasingly growing population, on the other hand, everybody wants to have kids and have kids and have kids and have kids, and that's supposed to be the American dream. And we have so many people now. There's more people now than there have ever been. Let's put it that way. There has never in history been as many people as there is right now. And most of them have cars. Most of them use electricity. Most of them are producing the CO2. Most of them eat beef. Most of them are producing the CO2, contributing the CO2 and methane production going into the atmosphere every second of every day. So you can do the chemical equation. For those of you who have taken chemistry in maybe high school and hopefully college, and if you haven't, you probably should. Everybody needs to know chemistry. It's a study of matter. Octane, the main component of gasoline, we also mix it with ethanol now, so it's more efficient. If you do the chemical equation for a combustion reaction of octane and oxygen, which is what happens, the octane reacts with the oxygen started by the spark from the spark plug in a motor like this one. It gives the molecules energy and makes them react, and octane reacts with oxygen and releases energy and powers the motorcycle. So when that happens, for every one octane molecule reacting with oxygen, for every one octane molecule that reacts in that combustion reaction, there are 6 CO2 molecules that are produced. Because octane is a much bigger molecule. So the carbons split up and become CO2 and react with oxygen, combine with oxygen. So that's one molecule. Think about, that's a 1:6 ratio for on a molecular level. Now think about a molar level. 1 mole of octane combining with oxygen, reacting, and becoming 6 moles of CO2. Now it's not starting to seem so small. And if you calculate the total amount of fossil fuels burned, which you can find on various websites, you can get an approximation, an average amount, whatever, and you can actually figure out how many moles of CO2 we have produced. You can calculate how many moles of CO2 you produce in your car. You can do that. It's a very simple chemical equation. So when you do things like that, you start to a picture starts to form. We are causing the planet to warm up. It's not a matter of opinion, it's not a belief. Global warming is not a belief, it's happening by every measurement. So a common argument you'll hear from conservatives is that the planet may be warming, but humans aren't contributing to it, which I think is just, on its surface, it should be pretty easy to tell that that's bullshit. And another common argument is, they say if you look at something like a volcanic eruption and see all the greenhouse gases produced from that, like the greenhouse gases that humans produce is like nothing compared to that. Which again is bullshit. You can do the calculations based on the research collected by scientists and see that humans produce way more greenhouse gases than a single volcanic eruption ever would. So it's important to be very careful when listening to debates about this subject, and it's important when thinking about it that we take our cues from nature and not someone's agenda.